Good morning. It is Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is your deep dive daily briefing. I am your anchor, delivering a comprehensive analysis of the pivotal events that have defined the last 24 hours. We begin our broadcast on the world stage, where the strategic landscape of the Middle East remains in a state of critical tension as the conflict enters its fourth week. Following the reported death of the previous Iranian supreme leader and the subsequent hardline stance of the successor regime, the region is grappling with a near-total paralysis of diplomatic norms. Overnight, United States and Israeli forces conducted a series of coordinated strikes against high-value targets in Tehran and Isfahan, specifically aiming to dismantle drone manufacturing facilities and command and control centers. This military pressure comes as the humanitarian situation in the Levant reaches a breaking point, with over 800,000 people now displaced in Lebanon alone. While certain international observers in Geneva continue to push for a humanitarian corridor, the rhetoric from the new leadership in Tehran remains defiant, suggesting a readiness to endure a prolonged war of attrition rather than concede to Western demands.
Transitioning from the front lines of conflict to the broader global economy, the narrative is being driven by a profound sense of uncertainty as nations navigate the visceral impact of the Hormuz blockade. With nearly 20% of the world's liquid energy flow trapped behind the de facto closure of the strait, international oil prices have remained stubbornly above $100 per barrel. This energy shock is triggering a structural shift in manufacturing hubs, as the increased cost of energy-intensive production forces businesses to reconsider their global footprints. Despite this immense pressure, the International Monetary Fund has maintained a global growth projection of 3.3% for 2026, citing the adaptability of the private sector and the front-loading of trade activities by major importers. However, economists warn that this resilience is being tested by the implementation of new global tariff surcharges, which are beginning to filter through to consumer prices and complicate the path for central banks seeking to return inflation to 2% targets.
In the realm of finance, all eyes remain on the fallout from the Federal Open Market Committee meeting which concluded earlier this week. In a move that market participants continue to process as a hawkish hold, the Federal Reserve elected to maintain the federal funds rate in the 3.5% to 3.75% range. The updated dot plot suggests a significantly more conservative path for interest rate cuts in 2026 than previously anticipated, reflecting deep concerns about the inflationary fire fueled by energy costs and geopolitical instability. On Wall Street, this cautious stance has led to a period of tactical consolidation. Institutional capital is increasingly rotating toward defensive assets and mission-critical sectors like defense and energy, while high-valuation technology stocks face scrutiny over the long-term sustainability of capital expenditures amidst higher-for-longer borrowing costs in a wartime economy.
Turning our attention to the technology sector, the focus remains on the massive build-out of artificial intelligence infrastructure and the arrival of the agentic era. During the concluding sessions of the GTC 2026 conference in San Jose, industry leaders confirmed that the AI inflection point has officially moved from generative experimentation to autonomous deployment. NVIDIA has showcased its Blackwell Ultra architecture, which is now being integrated into global AI factories to deliver a 50-fold performance increase for complex agentic workloads. Simultaneously, major cloud providers like Microsoft and Google are reporting a record surge in capital expenditures as they race to secure the energy and hardware required to sustain these decentralized tech ecosystems. This growth continues to face a physical power ceiling, as global demand for AI data center electricity is projected to require an additional 92 gigawatts by next year, prompting a radical rethink of energy procurement and investments in dedicated modular nuclear reactors.
Finally, we look at the logistics and supply chain networks that serve as the vital arteries of global commerce, which are currently facing their most severe stress test since the pandemic. The Strait of Hormuz remains in a state of near paralysis, with maritime traffic having plummeted by over 80% since the conflict began. This blockade has forced every major ocean carrier, including Maersk and MSC, to officially suspend transits and reroute vessels around the Cape of Good Hope. This detour adds up to 14 days to voyage times and has triggered a massive spike in war risk surcharges, with some fees now exceeding $4,000 per container. Logistics providers are warning that even if a ceasefire is reached soon, the ripple effects on port capacity and equipment availability in hubs like Jebel Ali and Salalah will be felt for months. As the conflict spreads, 72% of trade professionals now identify geopolitical instability as their primary enterprise risk, leading to a dramatic acceleration of regionalized supply chains and the rapid adoption of AI-driven inventory positioning. That concludes our global briefing for today. Thank you for joining us.